Most people think the smartest move with Social Security is simple. Just wait until 70 and you'll get the biggest check. But what if that advice no longer works in a world where benefits get cut? Because even if you've saved prudently for retirement, can you still retire with a reduction of benefits? It's a major risk and could change everything about when you should actually take Social Security. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through a real retirement plan and show you exactly what happens when we model a Social Security cut. You'll see the impact on income, lifestyle, and peace of mind, and whether waiting until 70 still holds up, or if it might be smarter to claim earlier than you'd think under the new rules. A lot of people are asking the same question right now. What happens to my retirement plan if Social Security actually gets cut? And it's a real concern, not just some doomsday headline. The Social Security Trust Fund is projected to be insolvent by 2033. That's just 8 years away. And under current law, if nothing changes, retirees would face an automatic 23% benefit cut. And even if the trust fund borrows from the Disability Insurance Fund, as some projections suggest, it would only delay the problem until 2034, with an estimated 19% cut after that. So let's be honest, if your retirement is fully reliant on Social Security, meaning you don't have other investments or assets to draw from, that's catastrophic. But even if you do have meaningful savings, that kind of income drop is still serious. To show you what this actually looks like, let me introduce you to a real-world case study. We're working with a couple, Vance and Helen, both age 65, and they've done a solid job saving, $1.4 million in retirement accounts, plus another $600,000 in a taxable brokerage account. Their monthly spending goal in retirement is around $11,000 a month. So that covers living expenses, travel, seeing the grandkids, giving, right? Everything they want to enjoy in this next chapter of life. Vance's benefit at 67 would be $3,100 a month, and Helen's benefit at 67 would be $1,400 a month. So, quick math. If they withdrew 4% per year from their investments, that would give them about $80,000 of income annually. But with Social Security, they were projected to get an additional $54,000 combined, bringing them right up to their goal before taxes. But with a 23% Social Security cut, suddenly they lose over $12,000 per year in benefits, which is nearly 10% of their entire retirement income plan. That drops their total projected income to around $122,000, well short of their $11,000 a month lifestyle expense target. So even with a well-funded portfolio, that cut matters, because now we have to make adjustments. So you might be wondering the same thing Vance and Helen were. Should we just claim benefits now before it's too late and cuts kick in? Again, they're 65, retired, and trying to make the smartest moves, and claiming early feels like a safe bet. But it's not that simple, and there's a lot of advice out there that says wait until 70 to get the highest benefit. And that's because the decision to claim comes with a cost. Once you start, your benefits are locked in for life. But here's the real dilemma. You're trying to make a lifetime decision without knowing your lifetime. In other words, it's a balancing act between two competing risks, right? So you have longevity risk, which is the fact that you may live a long time, but there's also mortality risk, which is claiming late but not living long enough to benefit from the higher payout. So how do you make the right move without a crystal ball, especially with projected cuts in the future? Well, let's run their numbers. If both Vance and Helen live to age 96 and wait until 70 to claim, they'd receive around $1.7 million in projected total lifetime benefits. That's their maximum. But now let's stress test this. With a 21% cut modeled in, we might expect their optimal claiming ages to move up. But as we will see here, it doesn't. It still shows age 70 for both of them as the optimal claiming strategy. But here's the rub. If they both wait until 70 to claim, that means they would need to live beyond age 84 to make waiting worth it versus taking the benefits now. And there's no guarantee they will live that long, even though they are healthy today. So here's the key. This green zone shows all the options within 5% of optimal claiming. That means there's flexibility. You don't have to hit the bullseye to get 95% of the benefit. And as we can see, Helen could claim right now and Vance around age 69. That gets Helen's benefits started a lot sooner, which they liked, especially with looming cuts. But there was still this nagging feeling. We all know people who passed away way too soon. Some of them who passed well before they could ever reap the rewards of the benefits they paid into their whole career. These benefit amounts and claiming strategies assume they both live until age 96, which is helping optimize for their longevity risk. But planning to age 96 introduces a lot of mortality risk. So what's more interesting is what happens if we project they only live to 85 and 90, potentially more realistic. We can now see Helen should claim next month and Vance in just under a year, and they would still stay within that 5% range. So why does it work to claim so much earlier? Well, part of the reason is due to the projected reduction in benefits, but the other reason is Helen's lower benefit pairs with a spousal benefit strategy, and earlier claiming reduces mortality risk while still covering their needs. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, we ran the numbers. Helen claims early, Vance waits a bit. That's the answer, right? Well, not quite. Even in an analysis like this, which is very powerful, it can still steer you wrong if you don't look at the full picture. Because optimizing for Social Security alone ignores one crucial question: how does that decision impact the rest of your financial plan? So as we will see here, if we only optimize for lifetime benefits, we're pretending like their portfolio doesn't exist, which of course we know is not the case. Their $11,000 a month goal is considering a research-backed spending pattern, which is that most retirees spend more income earlier in retirement. It often flattens out as you get older and then increases towards the end of life due to rising healthcare costs. So let's look at the optimal time to take Social Security when we consider all the factors of their plan. If Vance and Helen lived at age 85 and 90, and we assume the 21% cut to benefits happen, the optimized strategy within 5% of optimal now includes all available claiming strategies. Because look at this, even if both of them start Social Security right now, their plan is still within 5% of the optimal lifetime benefit. And in some ways, it can actually improve the overall retirement income strategy because claiming now reduces how much they need to withdraw from their portfolio today. And that leaves more assets to compound, which protects and preserves long-term assets. That's another form of survivor security. And look carefully at this. If they were to both wait until age 70, their projected income is actually slightly less than the optimal. But here's what's even more interesting. When we consider their portfolio and entire financial plan, they could both claim at 65 and stay within the 5% range of optimal timing strategy, which is huge because it allows them to take benefits now and significantly decrease their mortality risk. But you might be noticing that their income is well below their goal of $11,000 per month, which brings us to the next question. Can the plan be adjusted to still meet their income needs even if Social Security gets cut and they claim right now? Just because their income isn't quite hitting the 11,000 mark doesn't mean the plan failed. It just means we're not done planning yet, because the real power of a retirement income strategy isn't about perfection, it's about adaptability. Most people think a Social Security cut means they have to cut spending. Perhaps that's what you think as well. But when you look at the full picture, the portfolio, the timing, the spending behavior, you realize there are other levers that we can pull. So let's go back to the plan. Right now, we're seeing a gap. Their projected income comes up a little short, even with early claiming and investment withdrawals. But watch what happens when we make a small adjustment to their spending guardrails. See, right now their spending plan would need to fall 40% before we make an adjustment. But after discussion, Vance and Helen felt like, you know what, we could tighten that up a little bit. So if we decrease their lower guardrail so that the portfolio would need to fall around 30%, we are able to increase their income to meet the 11,000 goal. So with that change, we're effectively saying, you know what, we're willing to be a little more flexible, still prudent, but not overly conservative. And just like that, the plan fills the gap. They meet their 11,000 goal, even with the Social Security cut and even with Helen and Vance both starting benefits now. But what's even more encouraging, this isn't a fragile plan. We're not running it to the edge. In some scenarios, they could have more income if they wanted it beyond the 11,000. Now, if you're getting this feeling they are being too aggressive, I didn't tell you this earlier, but we also built this plan with a $500,000 buffer for potential long-term care expenses in the future, which means the plan protects that money and doesn't allow them to overspend it, which is huge. Maybe they live longer. Maybe they do have a long-term care health event. And in either scenario, they have a bucket of money protected for them. So the real takeaway here is simple. When you integrate portfolio withdrawals, age-based spending, dynamic guardrails, and a Social Security strategy all in one place, you gain control. And that's what Vance and Helen now have. They have a retirement paycheck they can trust, they have a plan that adapts, and they have peace of mind. But by this point, you might be thinking, okay, this is helpful if I haven't claimed yet, but what if I already have? Is it too late to make changes or improve my plan? Well, the good news is no, it's not too late. In fact, for retirees who have already claimed benefits, now is actually the perfect time to start optimizing the rest of the plan around that decision. Because once you lock in Social Security, your benefits are fixed, but your tax strategy, withdrawal order, and investment approach are all still flexible. And that flexibility is what can make the difference to increase your quality of life and combat the impacts of potential Social Security cuts. What I see all the time is that retirees treat Social Security like a set it and forget it piece of their retirement. They claim it, they get the check, and that's it. But there's a lot that gets missed with that mindset. So, for example, Social Security is taxed differently depending on your other income, right? So the more you withdraw from IRAs, the more your Social Security gets taxed. In addition, Medicare premiums can jump because of IRMAA surcharges if your taxable income climbs too high, even if it's just temporary. And if your investments aren't aligned with this new income structure, you can end up creating tax drag that erodes your retirement efficiency. This is where many retirees, especially high net worth ones, unintentionally lose tens of thousands of dollars to inefficiency. So even though Vance and Helen decided to claim early, we still mapped out the next several years. Now, one big reason people wait to take Social Security is often to do strategic Roth conversions. And in many cases, that can be the right move because the tax savings might outweigh the benefits of claiming earlier. But here's the key takeaway. Not every plan works best by delaying, and not every plan works best by starting early. It's completely dependent on your financial picture. Take Vance and Helen as an example. Even though they started benefits now, they're still looking at a significant tax valley in the years ahead. And as you can see here, their tax bill grows dramatically later in life. And that's because most of their wealth is inside pre-tax retirement accounts. And once RMDs kick in, the tax snowball starts rolling really fast. So if you're 60 or older with most of your retirement savings in 401ks or IRAs, then the next video is for you. I'll walk you through how to build a tax-smart withdrawal strategy that can save you tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars over your retirement. I'll see you in that video right now.